And for the last, I think 3 times, when we finish the show, I have unplugged the USB cable from my recorder to plug it into the laptop to download it, the backup recorder, without turning it up, without stopping the recording first. So when I unplug the USB, that kills the power. So I've lost that, like the last 3 shows. In the last 2 shows, I've had to go to the YouTube video. And the YouTube video on one was really crappy, and on this last one, Chris had come in, he'd crashed, and come in and forgot to mute himself, so there was a loop of him. And I worked really hard to edit it all out, but there were still a few times where you could hear him repeating himself. It's just, I have the worst luck out of it. You should just name me Murphy. Okay. Yes. Let's do that. And I'm just going to go with your show title. It's weird, but I'm fine with that. I'm not even going to explain it. I'm just going to go with it. Yeah. Oh, that is officially the title of the show. Absolutely. All right. Let me do a quick sound check on the feed. Okay, I'm just going to go with it. Oh, it's picking up my laptop mic. Not. Yeah. That's. I sounded like crap, and you were not there. So, see what that does. Check 1, 2, 3.
Sibilance 8, 9, 10.
All right, there we go. Glad I did that.
Did it pick me up? Because I didn't hear me in the back.
I heard you.
Okay, cool. And I'm coming in loud and clear because I'm updating my portable apps.
It was you broke up a little bit there at the beginning, but you're fine now.
Okay.
As long as you get your local, we're good.
Oh yeah, I might need to. Let me delete that test. And are we ready to go?
Yep.
All right, I'm recording now.
Alrighty then. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Everyday Linux, episode 150. Hana Finimama. Take 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Everyday Linux, episode 150, halfway to Thermopylae, recorded January 29th, 2014, and brought to you by Element OP Productions, elementop.com. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Linux show that's not about Linux, but about life in the context of Linux. I am your host, for better or worse, Mark, the Sultan of the Soapbox Cockerel, and joining me this week is just one half of our triangle. Wait, that's not right. One stool of our... I'm not going to go. Seth is here. Hey, Seth, the Gooey Kid Anderson, how are you?
Pretty good, Mark, and I would like to welcome the Element OP faithful to this awesome summertime rendition of Everyday Linux. Woohoo!
Yay!
I almost want to break out into a hoedown.
Yeah, this isn't our first show of the summer, was it? I think last week was our first show of the summer.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was actually on the first official day of summer, I think. The first full day. Isn't 21st is the half day, right? Yeah.
Sometime in the 21st is whenever that's not called equinox. That's called what, the vernal meridian?
Yeah, it is equinox, isn't it? It's vernal equinox and the autumnal equinox.
No, equinox is whenever that's spring and summer, whenever it's half and half.
Okay, so this I don't know. The internet will correct us, I have no doubt.
Yes. See, I should have let you do it because they will bash you for
That's
being
right.
wrong.
Yeah, the Seth gets to say whatever he wants, and it doesn't matter. I am wrong
and sometimes even when I'm not wrong. We'll get to that in a minute. But Chris gave us no explanation, simply said he wouldn't be here this week, and so I'm going to dock his pay 50%, and we'll go from there. And a special programming note, Solstice. Thank you, Rick Crouch, in the chat room. 90 seconds delayed. Summer solstice. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Next week, the day before, actually, it'll be the day after Independence Day here in the U.S., your good friend and mine, Seth Anderson, is coming to Georgia to visit me. So we're going to record Saturday night instead of Sunday. So those of you who like to check out the live show, it'll be at the same time on Saturday night rather than Sunday night. And Seth will be in studio, i.e. basement, with me.
Yes, but see, it got all weird when you said basement. So you should have just left the studio. 2 grown men don't need to be going down to the basement doing anything.
Well, it's a big basement, if that helps.
Well, it would have to be for both of us to fit.
So yeah, that's enough about it. Anyway, so I just wanted you to know it won't change the release of the show any at all. But as we often do for holidays, just because we can get away with it, we're not going to do a technology-centered show. We're going to do an internet-centered show, and that's all I'm going to say about it right now. We'll have maybe a little teaser later on. The first thing I wanted to say is I went yesterday with my lovely wife and saw Transformers: Age of Extinction. It's exactly what you expect from a Michael Bay film. It's lots of explosions, lots of confusion, action scenes where you can't really see what's going on, at least one really hot chick, hokey dialogue. Let me tell you everything you need to know. There's 2 pieces of information you need to know about this movie to know everything you need to know about it. It'll tell you whether you want to see it or not. One, you've seen in the previews, Optimus Prime riding a Dinobot. That's point the first. Point the second, Mark Wahlberg says to the character, the actress playing his daughter, this is an actual line of dialogue from the movie. Honey, hand me my alien gun. So with those 2 things there, you now know everything you need to know to decide whether you want to see the movie or not.
And that was actually in a trailer.
Was it?
Somewhere
Okay.
Too. Yes, because I saw it. I have a question for you, and some people might call it a spoiler. Are any of the supporting cast from the other Transformers movies present, or is it nobody except the Transformers?
None of the human cast is there.
None of the army soldiers or
No.
the weird guy who
None of that.
Okay, well,
No
I was
Sector
hoping
7.
some of them. Okay,
Now,
Bummer.
there are obviously humans.
right.
Fraser Crane makes an appearance. Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey is he's flexing his sci-fi muscles these days.
Yep.
And he plays, I don't want to say a bad guy. He plays a character with a darkness that I've never seen Kelsey Grammer play. So,
Cool.
It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. It probably could have been 50 minutes
45
less.
minutes?
Yeah, it could have been an hour and 50, pretty comfortably. And we were forced to watch it in 3D. And I say that because the website was wrong for the theater we went to, and when you have a house full of kids, we had to arrange a window in which we could dump our children on somebody else. So the 3 o'clock showing wasn't a 3 o'clock showing. So the next one, the 3:15 showing, was an IMAX 3D. So the tickets just doubled. It was the $15 IMAX tax. And I don't like 3D. I've said that on the show before. It didn't make me want to puke, so that's something. But I would have preferred to see it in 2D.
It's getting better.
Yeah. Fast action scenes and 3D don't go together, and they always do. See, I think the best 3D I ever saw was Toy Story 3, and in that movie, for 85-90% of the time, the front of the screen was the nearest action to you, and they added depth. All right, and occasionally something jumped out at you, and something happened in front of the screen, but not very often. But what 3D people like to do is make everything happen in front of the screen, and there's a couple of problems with that. One is just physics. Your eye doesn't like to focus on that because it's all an illusion, right? Anytime you're looking at 3D in a film setting. It's not real 3D, obviously. If it were really 3D, you wouldn't need the glasses. I mean, I see 3D every day, right? And nothing,
Right.
Things do jump out at me, but not in that same way. So you're creating an illusion, and the physics of it forces your eye to focus on something that isn't there. And that's when you get the blurred imagery and things that just don't work right. And I wish guys would stay away from it. But Michael Bay is not known for his restraint. And so there were a number of times when things happened 80 or 90% closer to you than they should have actually been. And it just ruins for me. Maybe it's just the way I see. I have very poor eyesight. I had laser correction, but the laser correction doesn't fix the physical deformity. It just corrects it. So maybe other people don't see what I see. But when something is jumping way out in front, it gets divided into two images for me. I don't see the 3D anymore. I do see 3D, but I don't see the solid image, and I don't like it. Is that your experience too?
I haven't really noticed that. I really there's been nothing that I'm glad I saw this in 3D. I'm like, crap, I paid extra for that.
Yeah.
And sure, I mean, okay, look, I love going to the summer blockbuster where you don't have to think and stuff blows up and, check you allow them 5 logical inconsistencies just, because this is a summer blockbuster. It doesn't have to make sense. I don't mind that, but there's no reason. Give me a reason to go see a 3D movie. I mean, I've seen several. The last one I saw in 3D was Godzilla, and there was no reason for them to put that in 3D. Nothing like, oh wow, that was awesome. I can't believe I saw it in 3D. It's like I can't believe I wasted, a whole tank of gas almost just to go to the movies. And I'm hoping someday we'll look back and go, what were those idiots thinking using 3D like that? It needs, if your movie is so crappy that the only way you can market it is now in 3D, maybe we don't need to make that movie. Just my thought. But no, I really haven't noticed the split images and stuff that you talk about. So
it just may be the physics of my vision.
Yeah, maybe because I didn't notice anything weird about it. I didn't notice the 3D. Nothing popped.
Yeah. So I'm trying to decide what else I can say because large parts of it are a spoiler. But you were talking about, there are certain things that you forgive in sci-fi, right? You forgive almost everything Wolverine does because his character is almost godlike. So you just accept that.
Right.
It always bothered me that his skin would push the bullets out after he got shot. That's not skin. Normal skin doesn't do that. Why would mutant skin? But you're okay with that.
The muscle underneath is healing, and I don't know, but yeah, you kind of give it to him because otherwise, he would have so much more metal in him that he wouldn't be able to move because he would just be riddled with it.
Yeah, well, it would bounce off the adamantium and go away, right?
Well, I mean, the bones, only his bones are infused with adamantium. Right. They aren't
And then the most recent one,
right?
I don't think this is a spoiler. So he jumps back in time to before he has the adamantium, and bullets are still bouncing off of him. I got a problem with that.
I did not notice that, but yes, you are. Oh well, I don't know if that would have been. Yeah, because that would have been. Well, I don't know.
But because I can't tell you this, but he met somebody for the first time, and he alluded to the fact that something was about to happen. You remember that scene? Anyway, it's okay. It was anyway. I don't want to go there. We can't have that discussion right now. We need to have a spoiler cast where we can do this stuff.
Yeah, but I remember what you're talking about now. It took me a second.
So anyway, the Transformers movie, as long as my rule is you can define any rules you want in sci-fi, just play by your own rules. And I'm even willing to forgive changing rules between sequels. I don't like it, but as long as you're internally consistent between the opening credit and the closing credits, I'm willing to give you a wide berth. This movie broke its own rules a number of times during the 2 hour and 45 minutes of the movie. And again, you're not supposed to notice that. It's supposed to be explosions and boobs, and and you're supposed to just be okay with that. But it really bothered me. I could cite for you at least 3 solid examples of where in the movie they defined the rules. A character had a line of dialogue that was exposition that explained something, and then actions happened later, completely contradicting the line of dialogue.
It's impossible to turn left, and then all of a sudden you see the left blinker go on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, you just turn left.
Don't cross the streams.
Yeah.
And as a Texan, something that bothered me was there's a line in the movie, "We just got a call from Paris, Texas." And then they go to Paris, Texas. Now, I grew up 40 miles from Paris, Texas. These scenes were clearly in Austin, Texas, and in the surrounding hill country. And later, when you watch the credits, you see that it's Pflugerville and areas around Austin. Now, I understand the dialogue was written ahead of time, and then they went and scouted some stuff, and Austin's a very film-friendly thing. So just change that one line of dialogue, people. Why? I know only people like me, that the 1,700 people who grew up near Paris care. The rest of the world doesn't. But still, how hard would it be to change one line of dialogue and say, "We have a report from south of Austin, Texas"?
I was watching Walker, Texas Ranger, and they were talking about they were going to City Hall to do something, and they pulled up outside the Hall of State in Fair Park. And I went, really? Really? There's no way that even looks like City Hall. But, they played it off as City Hall, and it's the Hall of State in Fair Park. I did a lot of volunteer work there, so I was like, come on, guys, please. But, to the 10% of the country that's not Texas, I guess that's a big deal.
There was a funny thing in Dallas once where the Dallas mayor ran an ad that showed a cop from Fort Worth. And it was the Fort Worth uniform. They have mounted cops in Fort Worth, so it was a Mountie with his uniform, had FW written on the side, and people made hay about it. I know it was a stock image. It was a good-looking guy on a good-looking horse. I get it, but come on, people, proofread, do some due diligence.
Yeah, I mean, at least they made sure there was a guy on a horse that was a cop. So there's your some due diligence, Mark.
All right, and one other thing I wanted to say, we've been talking up Patreon a lot lately, and again, I thank you guys for your response. We have a number of patrons now, more than 17 times more than I expected, which was 0. Well,
see, the problem with that, Mark, is 100 times 0 is still 0.
That's true.
So
I discovered today, because it's getting to the end of the month, and Patreon charges us the end of the month. This is the 29th that we're recording this. So I went in and I was going to check my stats, and I discovered that when you post something, you tag it as either free or paid. I've been posting everything as free because I don't want to charge anybody for it. I realize now that paid means counts toward your Patreon subscribers. So all you people who are Patreon subscribers, you got a free month because I was tagging everything wrong. So, oops. So I appreciate your willingness to support me, but your support will actually begin in July because now I understand how that works.
Yeah, this was the beta. We're trying to hook you in here.
Right. So thanks for that. And Seth, I see from the notifications I get on the forum every time you make a change, you've been doing some work in there.
Yes, I have updated my Seth's Corner to get the current links up, and because of how long it was getting, I decided I have Seth's Corner episodes 4 to 100 because 4 is where I came on, and I've started another one for 101 to 200, and then when we get to 201, I'll wrap it over to another one. But so now,
is it 04 to 100?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I just because this is forum post. And they'll just be there because they don't show up in the anyway. No, I got rid of my analness over that. So no, I just decided to get them all up to date, and I'm working on getting my history, my this week in history, and I'll get that in the forum post. But one thing I want to ask you, Mark, is I noticed that in the forums, for whatever reason, some of my links are it's like they're highlighted in addition to just underlined. and I couldn't figure out why, because
you're
copied
copy
from
and
my-
pasting straight from the formatting in Google Plus, and Google Plus has it formatted black text on a white page. So you have to strip that Google formatting off the Google Doc.
But it's weird because it's not all of them.
Yeah.
So
That's why every time I copy and paste from the show notes, I have to do that where it looks like that.
So do I go and highlight those and paste them and make them blue or something? Even
Yeah,
though,
you just click the remove formatting, and then it'll
Remove.
default to the site format.
okay, but it'll still do the links.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Remove formatting. I will make a note of that, and I will give you more updates still.
In the GUI on the website, it's a picture of like a chalk eraser. So there you go.
Okay.
And that's all we got. Let's move into what you got. We only have a couple of pieces of listener feedback. That was an unfortunate slip of the tongue. A couple of pieces of listener feedback. One is a thanks and one is a complaint. So we'll begin with the complaint. Paul writes in wanting to correct my pronunciation. I'm going to fight with you on this one, Paul. Hi, guys. A few episodes back, you talked about the pronunciation, or rather the mispronunciation, of geeky terms. I thought of a couple, but didn't send a comment at the time. Now you forced my hand. In the latest show, number 149, Mark pronounced GIF with a hard G, as in gargantuan. It's supposed to be a soft G, as in ginormous. How do I know? Because the Jeopardy TV show says so. And because also the guy who developed the format says so. While I'm at it, the other thing that bugs me is demon. It's pronounced demon, people, not Damon. I'm not accusing you guys of this travesty, just too many members of geekdom. Okay, calming down now. Really enjoy your blatherings and have become an official Patreon of the show. Thanks for what you do, Paul. Okay, Paul, here's my first on the Damon thing. All right, you got to forgive people for that. A lot of people never actually say these words. They only write them. They never hear them. They only read them. And it's spelled D-A-E. And in English, when two vowels go walking hand in hand, the first one does the talking. That's what every second grader has heard. In the English language, D-A-E is pronounced Damon. All right? Now, it's actually a Greek word, so we go all the way back to the Greek pronunciation. And yes, it is demon, and it is the same demon, the same root word as demons as in evil spirits. The demons are the spirits who do the bidding of the dark world, and demons in the Linux world are the things that do your bidding behind the scenes. So it all makes sense. But come on, Paul, it's spelled Damon. All right, don't call it OS X10 either. I mean, it's an X. Get over it. It's an X. So I'm totally. I understand your point, and honestly, I can be the pedantry police too. And I catch myself calling it Damon because you're just reading along and it says Damon. But I do often correct myself and say, no, it is demon. But, okay, so I'm going to give you that one. The GIF thing, I'm going to fight with you. Here's why I'm going to fight with you. For one thing, it stands for Graphics Interchange Format. It's not Graphics Interchange Format. It's a GIF. All right? Yes, the guy who created it gave it a name, but that doesn't matter. Words take on lives of their own. Creators often don't have any say in it. How many bits of quote-unquote canon about the Star Wars universe had nothing to do with any words that George Lucas wrote? Most of the good stuff. So you can't just hang with the creator said it was this, and so that's what it is. Words become what words are commonly used. That's the evolution of language. If we followed your rules, we would all be speaking Gaelic, because English would never have changed, because the original words were Gaelic or Welsh or Old Norse. Language evolves, and GIF has evolved into a hard G. Get over it, Paul. That's just the way it is. Secondly, just because the pompous gas bag on a game show calls it a GIF, that doesn't make it right. All right.
Jiffy peanut butter is something you put on bread.
Yes.
A GIF is a picture you look at. And I'm sorry, I don't call it demon. It will be Damon for me, just because it's weird talking about the demons in your computer.
Well, that's why the BSD Devil is their mascot. It's based on that. It's the Linux demon. Most people don't know that. So he's technically right on that, but I'm willing to let that slide just because it's a weird word. But the GIF thing, if you're from France and you pronounce soft G's all the time, call it a GIF. It's potato. You look them up. They're both acceptable pronunciations. Tomato. Both acceptable. I'm okay with GIF and GIF. But I'm a red-blooded American, and I'm going to call it GIF.
GIF. Yeah, not a gift you give somebody, but a gift. Although you can give people gifts.
Yeah, it's true.
As well.
And the GIF, that's what I'm going to call it from now on, just to make everybody happy. OS X, the GIF of OS X, has really had a resurgence, thanks largely to Google Plus. I think the animated GIF is really a thing now, and I really want it to go away, but it's here, and it's only because of all the cat GIFs that we're even having this discussions. If there weren't so many cat GIFs on the internet, then Paul would never have written in, because people wouldn't be talking about GIFs anymore.
Sorry, guys. That's awesome. I love that you can talk about GIFs like that and just stream on like nothing is happening. When I say GIF, you know, I have to keep myself from laughing. So kudos to you, Sultan of the Soapbox.
I am a radio professional. Not really, not at all. Nothing professional about that. But thanks, Paul. Honestly, I hope you can take a joke. I suspect if you're a listener to the show, not only a listener but a patron, you understand good-natured ribbing. So thanks for the feedback, and I'll send you a cat GIF as a thanks for it. And lastly, again, I don't solicit these things, people. They just come to me, but they work as great lead-ins. Justin writes in to say thanks for talking about Linux Academy. He says, first, I really enjoy your podcast and look forward to it every week. I wanted to thank you for mentioning Linux Academy. I've been looking for training and didn't want to take the time off for a boot camp. Linux Academy seems like exactly what the type of thing I'm searching for, and the price is great. I'll get back to you with a review after I knock out some lessons. Keep up the good work, and thanks, Justin. Now, we've talked about this. Seth has certainly belabored that point a number of times, that there's really a couple of ways to go about getting your Linux learning on. And the boot camp is often the way to go. Seth went the boot camp route. He did, what was it, 3 months, Seth?
Yeah, 3 months of, yeah, it was really a boot camp.
Yeah, and he did Microsoft and Cisco stuff, not Linux stuff, because he didn't know better. He wasn't enlightened in the ways of the Linux back then. But
I grew up Microsoft, and there was just too much command line in Linux, and honestly, there was too much command line in Cisco, and I bombed. I failed miserably on Cisco and went back and concentrated on just more Microsoft.
So you hear that, Anthony? You need to apply your skills to the Cisco Academy as well, and guys like Seth would line up. And you could probably charge 10 times that and still be cheap. What do you charge? What are we talking about? Linux Academy, obviously you know. Unless this is the very first podcast you've ever listened to, you already know what the Linux Academy is, but he pays me to, so I'm going to tell you anyway. LinuxAcademy.com is a place where you can go and get step-by-step video courses designed to take you from being a beginner in the world of Linux to a server administrator. Now, that's a big goal, from beginner to server administrator, but he's doing it. They're doing it. That team of team of high-quality certified, that's the word I'm looking for, certified high-quality content creators. They went through an independent certification through 2 different institutions, and both of them certified them as high-quality Linux content. And so you go there and you log in, and you're presented with this portal, this dashboard, and the dashboard says, here's the modules that we have to offer. This module is, for example, LPIC Level 1 certification. That's where you start, where you go from being a beginner to certified. And you just work down the list there. And inside that module are a series of courses and quizzes and study guides and practice exams. And they all come together in an intelligent format. You flow from one to the other to the other. You can always jump back. The PDF study guides are time-coded, so you can look at it. And if you need to go back and see something, you go back. You get the support tools. You get your own Linux test lab environments on the Amazon's cloud services, so you can experiment with in a safe environment. You don't have to hose your own machines while you're doing it. And when you're done, when you work through all that and you've taken your practice exam and you're ready to go, you can go and be certified as an LPIC level 1 certified person thingy. And you can do that because the LPIC, the Linux Professional Institute, found them to be so high quality that they're working together. You can sign up for the test on either site, and you can and I've heard some people say, this may be hearsay, but I've heard listeners say that you can get a discount from if you take your courses at Linux Academy. You can get a discount on either the ETI. What's the word? What's that certification? I'm blanking. The CompTIA. Thank you.
Yeah,
either CompTIA or Linux Professional. I forget which one will give you a discount based on where you're coming from. Anyway, check it all out. How do you check it out? Simple. Go to linuxacademy.com. Sign up. I suddenly became Texan. Sign up for a 14-day trial. It's going to cost you $1. You log in there, you give them a credit card or a PayPal or whatever you got. Cost you $1, and then for 14 days you can look around. You can check out videos, you can download study guides, you can get a feel for it. It's not an all-access pass. But it's certainly representative of what you can do there, and it's enough to make a decision. At the end of that 14 days, you can cancel. Doesn't cost you anything more than that $1. If you want to keep going, you can do their monthly subscription for a whopping $25 a month. Okay, now that's super cheap. But like anything, the more you buy, the cheaper it gets. If you want to pay for a year up front, you can get that down to $19 a month. $19 a month, you're not going to find anything this quality for this price anywhere on the internet. And if you're looking at a boot camp and you want to do that, then you certainly can, but you're going to pay thousands of dollars. But Linux Academy, if you do it for a full year, I mean, you look at a couple $100. So it's cheap, but it's not low quality. It's high quality and inexpensive. And that's a good combination. That is a Linux combination. That's what we like in the Linux world. So go check them out. And when you do, use the referral code EverydayLinux in the referral box and let them know that we sent you there.
Yeah, and just to kind of talk about, don't think that you have to be an IT professional in order to get anything out of this course. So many courses out there, they expect you to know the material, and then you're just, to be like a good super user, and then they'll take you that last bit away. And with boot camps, that's already the case. If you walk in there knowing barely how to turn on a computer, you're wasting your money at a boot camp, because either they have to stop and bring you up to speed, or at the end of the time, you still don't know what you need to know. But Linux Academy, if you know how to watch a YouTube video, that's really, if you can't figure out how to watch YouTube, then Linux Academy is over your head. But if you can listen to this podcast, I think you can figure out how to watch YouTube. And if you know how to go to a channel in YouTube and click on it and watch videos, then you know everything that is required to join the Linux Academy. And then you get out what you put in. The more you study at it, the better you'll get. If something too hard, hit the rewind button. Watch that lesson again. Build a server a couple of times. It's all in there for you to go at your own pace, but at the same time to not just be I can't think of the good word. They will lead you, and they will lead you at your pace. And at the end, however long you want to put in, if you're willing to go the whole route, you can be a Linux admin. You might not be the guy who knows everything, but you'll know the basics, you'll know where to look, and you won't be afraid of getting your hands down and dirty on the keyboard, walking through the ins and outs of the Linux distros that are out there.
All right. There you go. And now moving on to our news of the week, we got to cover up, circle back to a little old news first. Something I poo-pooed and said I didn't believe in a couple of months ago, where apparently 48,000 people disagree with me to the tune of $2.2 million.
Yes, in 2 months, the Solar Freaking Roadways, and the reason we put that's what their YouTube video was called, Solar Freaking Roadways. And it's a great YouTube video. It's everything about how this makes us one step closer to daisies and bonbons for everybody. But, of course, they gloss over any issues with it. But, yeah, they raised $2.2 million, and it was the most popular in Indiegogo's history. 48,000 backers, from all 50 states and 165 countries. So, his goal now is to they want to get some prototype roadways down and not just a driveway somewhere. I still think there's several issues that they need to overcome, but hopefully they will. I mean, it would be awesome if this was great. I hope they go well, and I wish them well. But yeah, they raised $2.2 million, so way to go, Solar Freaking Roadways.
Yeah, so they were looking for $1 million. They got 2.2, and the guy thinks he can do something with that amount of money. That's not much money. $2.2 million for inventing a new technology is not a lot of money, but he seems confident that he can do it. So again, like you said, Seth, I would love to be proven wrong about that. This is one of those things that the more wrong I am about it, the happier I will be. But I just think it's going to be. I think he's going to take, 1.8 million of that and flee the country, and say sorry it didn't work. And that's the problem with crowdfunding. You can do that sort of stuff, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have a driveway that, I don't know how much it gets driven on, but a roadway with lots of dirt and debris and bits of tires sticking to it and stuff, I just don't see how that's going to get a high enough percentage of light. Although I did come across an article that they feel like they've doubled the theoretical maximum of light that can be absorbed up to I think it's 40% now.
Yeah, because right now the industry standard is 14 to 17%. So doubled it would be 34%. That'd be impressive.
Yeah, and something like that would help make something like this more feasible. But anyway, so go people, yay!
So in the I can't believe this isn't April Fool's Day category, the Microsoft who purchased part of Nokia has released a new smartphone, and of course it's Android based.
Yes, the Nokia X2 is coming out. It'll be sold worldwide. It has a dual SIM card, so it can kind of run on either network. And it's not a super high price thing. They're looking to sell it for $135. But yeah, it's going to be running Android, but they're hoping to kind of use that as kind of a gateway to Microsoft services because Microsoft has so many Android apps out there. But yeah, I don't know. One thing they're doing is they're taking a good quality phone and they're knocking the price down to where it's more affordable, I guess. And you're not necessarily getting a bargain basement, super cheap Android phone, but a decent quality, good, at least middle of the road Android phone at a pretty good price. So,
Seth, did we talk on this show at all? I think it came out between shows and we didn't. The Fire phone from Amazon.
I don't remember. I think maybe it just got cut from the news. I don't think we talked about it. But yeah, Amazon.
So, Amazon has been in the business of taking Android and making it very not like Android with their Kindle Fire tablets. Well, now they have the Fire phone that's due out, and it's sort of the same thing. Yes, it's Android, but it's Android as plumbing. You don't interact with Android in any way. So I suspect that's what this Nokia X is going to be. It's going to have Android underneath in the same way that Nokia phones used to have Symbian underneath, but you won't know it. I mean, I'm sure you'll be able to run Android apps, but otherwise they're going to have a full-on Nokia experience. And I think I'm sorry to interrupt. I think that's a win. I think when things become infrastructure, it's a win. I think that's what the Open Handset Alliance wanted when they got their start back in the late 90s. So I think it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and they're looking to set up and really go with the Nokia Store, which will be the place for finding the highest quality Android apps for the device. So
another walled garden.
Yeah, or is it going to be? Is Nokia just kind of going to be a best of Google Play, or is it going to be Android Fire, but Microsoft Sync or whatever they're going to end up calling? I don't know. But yeah, so they're coming out with it. You know, I'm just glad that we're finally getting some good choice in the mobile phone market, because I really thought that was missing here recently.
Yeah, you know, and I agree with that. It all, I've said this many times before. It comes down to what ecosystem you're in, and right now the ecosystems are Apple or Google, but it's good to see other ecosystems. I mean, Amazon, man, they're looking at taking over the world, and they're creating their own ecosystem. And as a Prime member, I mean, I'm replacing some of the Google Kool-Aid with some Amazon Kool-Aid these days. I've got grape in one hand and cherry in the other. But it's kind of amazing, really, the fact that we're seeing these ecosystems driving technology instead of the other way around. And so Nokia is trying, like you said there on their show, they're trying to, in their store, they want to not just release a phone, but also create an ecosystem. And obviously Microsoft has an ecosystem. And if they can make those seamless, I mean, Windows on Android is some IT guy's wild dream. I mean, that'll be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I almost said another kind of dream, but stopped with wild. I'm sure
that leads right into our next story.
Yes. I'm sure everybody in this audience has heard of the uncanny valley. The uncanny valley is a term given to when something is very lifelike, something artificial is very lifelike, but not lifelike enough that it's just weird. Well, apparently a new Japanese museum is celebrating the uncanny valley.
Yes, new robot guides at a Tokyo museum look so eerily human and speak so smoothly they almost outdo people. You know, it's like, you know, okay, the U.S. kind of has the lead in like military robotics and robots that do stuff, but when it comes to making robots look and act human, I think everybody would agree that Japan is the place for that. You know, you look at a lot of the manga and anime that come out of Japan, think of Ghost in the Shell, everything is like getting to the point where it's that singularity where what it means to be human and what it means to be machine, there's almost no difference. And so they're kind of showing off what these robots can do, and they talk about some glitches, like sometimes when they're speaking their mouths don't move and sometimes the mouths don't line up perfectly with what's being said. But really just looking at the pictures in there, you could, you know, there's people that look weirder than these pictures. So, you know, you can kind of look at them, like there's a couple of them where if somebody told me that's a person, I wouldn't have any reason to doubt them. And some of the others, you go, I don't think that's a person. They look a little strange. But, you know, they're getting to the point to where they're looking more and more human-like and interacting with them. I mean, you go up there expecting a human, and all of a sudden, you know, you hear this voice that sounds human, but the mouth doesn't move, and it could freak you out. So it was just a weird story. I wanted to pass it along, and, you know.
In general, people are more comfortable with C-3PO than we are with Data.
Right.
And, you know, we want our machines to be obviously machines. And so then, you know, at some point we'll create the replicants. We'll be running in the Blade Runner world. And then you won't know the difference between a machine and a man. And then obviously we'll be able to accept them because we won't know the difference. But when you get to that uncanny valley there, where they're close enough to human that you think they might be, but far enough away that they're like a broken human, because that's how your brain responds to it. This is a broken human, and
right.
And we have a genetic fight or flight response that comes in when we look at broken humans. And it's sad to say, but we have the same thing when you see somebody who's been badly burned or somebody born with a birth defect. We have that same response to it. It's a genetic revulsion, and we like to think we're high-minded people and can think past it. But there's always that moment of, dear God, what is that thing? And these robots create a combination of, dear God, what is that thing? And wow, that's cool. And so it creates a cognitive dissonance there of, I don't know how to handle these two signals in my brain. I don't know how to handle the curiosity, this is cool signal, and that this is a monster that might eat me signal. And it just makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah. Me Hulk, me smash good. That's kind of what you just like. I don't like. It's creepy, and I'm going to therefore destroy what I cannot comprehend.
And the article,
Yeah,
the article references another Japanese firm that's creating a robot that looks a little bit like C-3PO. They say from Star Wars, but costs $2,000. Frankly, I would buy C-3PO for $2,000. I would not hesitate to do that. Even if all he did was said Master Luke, and walked around and complained a lot, I would pay $2,000 for that, because why not?
yeah, but you see, they stick it to you because R2-D2 is $100,000,
And he's the cool
you gotta
one.
have the set.
Right. Okay. I don't know where to go from that. And just to say, police are hackers now.
Yes, there's this story, and it doesn't really. It doesn't reveal anything new, but it just talks about how law enforcement agencies across the globe are acting more and more like hackers, using targets' phones and computers to spy on them in methods that you would associate with cyber criminals and not with police officers. And I mean, honestly, it's kind of a little scary, because if the police are investigating me, where in the investigation does it go from being police work to you need a warrant to install malware on my phone so that it takes pictures of what I'm doing and you can listen in on my conversations? But it's Citizens Lab is the security researcher that kind of talks about the report, and like I say, it's one of those things that you already know, but just when you read about it in the story, it's just like, again, I don't know how much of a tinfoil hat person are you. If you're like full-blown tinfoil hat, this is proof that the government's out to get you, and there's conspiracies everywhere. Full visor, this might make you roll a piece of tin over the head and become a full-on tinfoil hat guy.
So is that a tinfoil comb over? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's like a visor with a sunshade on it or something. I don't know, but they say they uncovered 326 hacking team command servers in more than 40 countries, many of which were in the United States. So I don't know. It's just one of those, you can kind of go, and at what point does it stop being police work and becomes police state?
And that's been the eternal discussion. Police forces have to advance with the times, but
Right.
at the same time, we're more comfortable with a police force who is weak, because then they know they won't turn police state. When a police force is strong, we fear they'll turn. I mean, modern police. I don't know about other countries. I can only speak for the U.S. But since the war on drugs started in the 80s, police forces have become military organizations with armored assault vehicles and riot gear. And you look at a modern cop from Los Angeles and an SS trooper from World War II, and the cops are scarier. And
Yeah,
now
I mean,
it's the digital
full-on
version
body
of that.
armor?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
digital version of that occurring.
Yeah. So, and the kind of apps that they're using and the kits that they have access to, Symantec, Microsoft, Kaspersky, AVG, they're not going to detect them, unless they happen to get a sample. But it's just a scary thing. And I know there's a thing. Well, if you aren't doing anything wrong, you don't have anything to hide. And that's just not the case. I'm not doing anything wrong, but dadgummit, I don't want people to know what I'm doing. Just leave me alone and stay off my lawn.
One of the best arguments I ever heard for that is I don't do anything wrong in the bathroom either, but I don't want anybody in there with me while I'm doing it. There are
Right.
some things that you don't want to share with the world. When I'm sitting on the toilet grunting because I haven't had enough fiber, I don't need an audience with me. That doesn't mean it's illegal or shameful. It's just something that I choose not to share. And if I have stuff on my phone that is in that same category, then it should be mine to keep private. And so I really hate that argument, is if you're not doing anything illegal, you have nothing to hide. I have barbecue sauce recipe on here that I don't want anybody to know. It's not illegal, but I want to hide it. And I should have the right to do that. That's a ridiculous example, but it's also a good example.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. I don't even know how to have a good discussion on this, because it's more like, is where it is now. I don't know that where it is now is wrong, but it's not going to stay here. It's either going to become more intrusive or it's going to become less intrusive. It's not going to stay right at the level it is. And I don't like more intrusive.
Yeah, is it a pendulum or a juggernaut? And only time will tell.
And I haven't seen a lot of there's not a lot of examples to support government relinquishing power it has.
Yeah.
One of the neatest things, and this happened in the 90s, I believe, in Texas, the treasurer for the state of Texas said, we don't need this office. If you elect me, I'm going to shut down 90% of this office and transfer the other 10% to the comptroller, and there will no longer be a treasurer for the state of Texas. She won, she did it, and she worked herself out of a job. That's like the only example I know where the government says, we're too big and we're going to shut this thing down. But, I just can't see the police going, okay, yeah, we're getting too much data. We're going to stop collecting data on people.
But at the same time, you want them to have as much data on the bad guys as possible. So it's a difficult situation. It's a no-win situation.
Yep.
All right, moving right along. This is no surprise, nothing new, just more of the same. Linux is kicking butt in the supercomputer department.
Yes, it is now holds 97% of the fastest computers in the world are based on Linux, and of the remaining 16, 13 run Unix. So I think Windows has 2. And the best Windows machine is 294th place. But so, Linux is, and there was no real, they come out with the top500.org twice a year. They list the 500 fastest supercomputers in the world. There was no humongous breakthrough in faster than last. On here, and there's even more Linux machines than there were before. So 485 systems out of the fastest 500 computers on the planet are running Linux. That's darn near global domination. Windows wishes in its heyday it had such a big market share.
There's a word for that: domination.
Yes.
All right, and this is cool and yet also meh. Google Docs can now directly edit Microsoft Docs, which is kind of nothing new, really.
Well, you've been able to save them in the cloud or in your Google. Now you can actually edit the document, as opposed to export. Before, you were really more exporting it into Google and then trying to save it back as a doc.
Right.
Now you're actually accessing the document and making changes. And I got to admit, even just whenever I've been tinkering around in Google Docs for the podcast, and I don't use hardly any of it, I've noticed that there's more stuff it can do now than it used to be able to do before. So yeah, you can now edit Microsoft Office Docs in Google. So that's one less reason you have to get Office is, well, I've got to be able to access these documents. Now, granted, if you use a lot of calculations in Excel, I don't know how well those are. I would not trust them. I would do them a couple of times in Google Apps and Microsoft just to make sure you get the same thing. And even then, I still don't know if I would trust it. But, if you're just editing a Word doc, Google.
Yeah, Google Sheets has really grown up a lot very recently. I would have agreed with you just a couple of months ago, Seth, that Microsoft really lags behind in the spreadsheet department, but they've really stepped up there. Now they lag behind in the presentation department. You can't compare Google Present to Impress on the LibreOffice side or PowerPoint on the Microsoft side. But I think they're taking it one app at a time, and this has really been a really big leap forward for Google Sheets. So
Yeah.
and yeah, I guess your point about the fact that you're no longer having to change file formats is right, because I've imported in and exported out, but now it is the same doc. So yeah, I see, and they've also improved offline support a lot in this release.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can access your Google Drive now offline, and a while back I thought about doing a show about that, and we might one day when it's 5 minutes till showtime, we don't have anything. So
yeah, I need to make a quick break here while I reset my stupid machine. So hold on just a second. I haven't figured out what's causing that yet, but it never fails right around 1 hour after I start recording. Doesn't matter how long the machine's been on, just the act of recording, it starts glitching, and then I reset it, and it's fine. Weird.
Very weird.
Yeah. Okay, so where were we? All right, and next up, patent trolls are just getting beat down left and right, and I love it. There's yet another SmackDown.
Yes, to quote Hannibal, I love it when a plan comes together. Yes, this is, we talked about this particular patent, or actually we talked about a case involving it when Newegg got drug into East Texas, and basically no common sense found anywhere in the circuit court that ruled on the case. But anyway, so now Intuit said, hey guys, we'll take a crack at them, and they have proven that the web encryption patent that Patent Troll, Alpha, Beta, Charlie, Gamma, whatever their name was, really had nothing to do with encryption on the web. And U.S. Circuit Judge, sitting by designation in the Eastern District of Texas, has found in a summary judgment ruling that the patent owned by TQP Development is not infringed by the two defendants remaining in the case, Intuit and Hertz. Now, one thing he did was they rejected Intuit's argument that the patent was invalid. So it is a valid patent, but it has no application to here. And hopefully, somehow, this can, Newegg can, because there's still motions to file and that kind of stuff. We'll see, and it's not over for that, I hope. But yes, so this patent troll kind of took it on the chin. Hopefully.
Yeah, and this patent, it's the worst kind of patent. It says this technology over here that we didn't invent, and this technology over here that we didn't invent. Using them together, we invented that. And it's just dumb. And yet it has been held up in court several times. And finally, somebody said, you know what? Taking a hammer that you didn't invent and putting it with a nail that you didn't invent, you can't call that hammering a nail and patent that. Finally, somebody's starting to see that. But they've gotten, according to court documents, over $45 million off of this patent in settlements. $45 million on saying you can't use two things we didn't invent because we invented using them together. Dumb.
I hope when this is all done that you can sue them for being so stupid. I hope somehow when all this settles out that you can do that.
Well, that's like patenting the gin and tonic. It's ridiculous. You take gin, you mix it with tonic, boom, we own that. But patents don't make sense, and we're
but you see, I used 48% gin and 52% tonic. You use 49 and 51. I have a new patent.
I'm about to unload already, and we haven't even gotten to the thing that is really sort of the meat of the show. So I'm going to back off a little bit. And say that now this is a cool thing, kind of. Chrome OS now runs Android apps. Now there's been some old hacky ways to do that, but now just out of the box, you can run Android apps on Chrome.
Yes, and looking at the story, I don't think that I don't think you can do this today, but I think like in the next generation or the next version of Chrome OS, which 2 minutes from now,
right, in a second now.
Yeah, and the next version of Android. Yesterday, it will be, and Chrome OS has a good bit of apps, but they don't have the billions of fart sound apps that the Android marketplace has. So it'll be good news for everybody that you can take Android apps and run them on your Chrome OS. Now, apparently, it's not going to be all Android apps. It's only going to be some. But anyway, I just think it's really cool because it's just a way for you don't have to develop, the same app. It'll be great because you don't have to develop the same app for Windows, for Apple, for Chrome, for Android 4, Android 4.1, Android 4.2, and any web OS. And let's not forget Tizen. And there's also Firefox OS. You can do a little bit less developing. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, and it's all, we want to make the world as flat as possible. That's been the aim of like HTML5 for a while now. Just move everything into the browser. And it's a good thing. We want a flat world of technology. We want write once, run anywhere, right? That's been the promise of Java and of several technologies over the years. Java's the only one I can think of right now. And Android is Java based. It's kind of making that happen, and great. I'm all for it. And when you can write an app and run it on the Android ecosystem and the Apple ecosystem and the Microsoft ecosystem and the Chrome OS and in the web, more's the better. We're getting there, and this thing is not an emulator. It's a converter is really the better way to put it. They're building sort of a compiler into the system. Again, this was at Google I/O, and so it was really developer heavy. But it's a neat thing. I'm looking forward to seeing come to fruition.
Yeah, same here.
All right, and the last one. This doesn't make sense. Facebook is now a champion for privacy.
Yes. And again, I almost expected this to be like an April Fool's Day thing, but they are actually fighting New York County District Attorney's demands for information pertaining to the accounts of several hundreds of its subscribers. And it comes down to the reason this was, they're going after firefighters and police officers who are claiming Social Security disability benefits for their involvement in 9/11, and Facebook is trying to say, look, guys, you don't get carte blanche because you have one affidavit, and basically the judges in this case have said, actually they do, and here's a gag order, you can't talk about it. But so Facebook has they filed a suit in August to quash the warrants on grounds that they violated its users' Fourth Amendment rights, and the judge basically said it's not your Fourth Amendment, therefore you don't have grounds, and here's a gag order so you can't tell the people whose Fourth Amendment rights it is. Anyway, it just seems like, so here's Facebook doing an about face, and and are they really protecting, or are they just, I don't know, they probably just looking for some way to monetize that information and don't want it getting out for free. But anyway, at least in this case, Facebook is standing up and defending privacy, at least trying to online.
And Fourth Amendment, by the way, for those of you who are not scholars of the American Constitution, Fourth Amendment bans illegal search and seizure, meaning in the U.S. you have to have a warrant, a search warrant. That's what that means. You have to go to the judge and say there is reason enough to warrant a search of this man's property or this man's whatever. And so that's where the term, a lot of people don't know that, that's where the term search warrant comes from. And it's because built in right there, like with ratification of the Constitution, these first 10 amendments came along with it as the Bill of Rights. And these people came out of a totalitarian monarchy, and they didn't want redcoats to just barge into their house and take whatever they wanted. So this amendment guaranteeing that people were safe from search and seizure, well, that we're now in a digital world. Searching your Facebook data and seizing your Facebook posts are now being argued under Fourth Amendment terms. And so, I think Facebook is in the right here, but probably for the wrong reasons. I think you're right, Seth. They're not so much interested in privacy as they're interested in what else they might find when they're getting through the database. But anybody being smart, even for dumb reasons, is okay by me. And so, this is a specific incident where somebody had a warrant. They had reasonable expectation of that wrongdoing was being done. They went to the judge. The judge said, yes, I see that this warrants a search, hence the name search warrant. And so they basically got into their Facebook account looking for specific information. While they were there, they found other things. That's not the way it's supposed to work. For example, if I'm searching your house for terrorism material, and in the process I find child pornography, I'm not supposed to be able to admit that in court because that was outside the bounds of the warrant. Every week I feel like I make disclaimers. I'm way oversimplifying this. I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on the internet. But this is basically the simplified way it goes. And so Facebook is arguing that you search for a specific thing here, and you can't search for other stuff. And the judge in this case says no. So it's being argued at a higher court.
Now, Mark, neither am I a lawyer, but I have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. So sorry, that's an old commercial if
Yes.
Y'all aren't familiar with American television. But recently the Supreme Court ruled that if the police are searching your car, they need a separate warrant to go after data on the cell phone.
Yes.
And so to me, that mindset would play in to the fact here, but it comes down to this. They were talking to a tech attorney for Tech News World, which is where we got this story. It's not surprising that prosecutors view this non-private information as a treasure trove, but evidence freely given up and usable. And he pointed out, let the sharer beware. So, Facebook's concern is that people are going to post less on Facebook because there's a chance that what they say can and will be used against them, and they won't have a chance to hide it later. And of course, if people post less to Facebook, then they're not, then us cattle mooing over here aren't worth as much money to the advertisers on Facebook. So that's really why Facebook is championing this cause. But it kind of goes in there. I'll take uncommon sense anywhere I can get it.
Yeah, and while we're talking about constitutionality and the intricacies of U.S. law, let me jump into the Mark's pissed off story of the week. The thing that really made me mad is something I had very high hopes for. I put faith in the highest court in the land to not be idiots. Turns out that faith was misplaced. Aereo has had a court case that the Supreme Court heard. And let me tell you a little bit about Aereo in case you don't know. They had a brilliant model. It started in New York. They've moved to different cities, 2 cities that directly affected me, Dallas and Atlanta. And so here's the way it works. Television waves are transmitted over the air. They're free for the taking. Stick a piece of metal up, it's yours. Okay? But they're not available over the internet because of various rules. For example, let me bring it home. My beloved Dallas Cowboys, the NFL. NFL games are not online unless you have some situation like the DirecTV, for example. If you have Sunday Ticket there, you can stream your DirecTV content online. Otherwise, they're just not. The NFL is way behind the times in that. Major League Baseball, hockey, the World Cup has been all over online, but NFL is not. So the only way you can watch the NFL online is to stick an antenna up, connect it to a converter box, and stream that over the internet. You're allowed to do that. There are devices that do that all the time. Slingbox is one where you can stick an antenna in the air, plug it into a digital converter, turn that into a stream, and then stream it anywhere on the internet. Perfectly legal. So Aereo said, okay, here's what we'll do. We will rent you a nickel-sized antenna for $8 a month. You now own that antenna for all intents and purposes. We've rented it. We also provide DVR services, which, again, Slingbox, TiVo, all these things do that, perfectly legal, held up in court all the time. So you take our rented piece of space, All right, you've rented. It's real property. You are paying rent on it just like you pay rent on a house or an apartment or a storage building. All right, you have rented this piece of equipment. It goes through their software, again, perfectly legal. They constructed this whole ridiculous system to make it legal. Now there's an IP access to their DVR. Again, all of this is legal. The broadcasters, the Hollywood folks, said, no, you're rebroadcasting our signal, and that's illegal. But the thing is, they went through all these steps to make sure it's not, because I own that antenna. I'm a Aereo subscriber. I own an $8 antenna in Dallas. See the problem there? I don't live in Dallas anymore. That's what they're mad at. I can watch Dallas television in Atlanta. I can watch my beloved Cowboys using Aereo from Atlanta. They don't like that. So they took them to court, and they've won in court, and they've moved to the next court, and they won in court. So they moved to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court heard the case, and dadgummit, they ruled against Aereo, and it just blew me away. And Justice Antonin Scalia wrote the dissenting opinion. It was a 5-4, it was a split decision. He wrote the dissenting opinion, and basically his dissent was the court here really screwed up. Because now this is going to target not only Hulu, not only HBO Go, not only services like that, but now Dropbox and Google Drive, because you're taking content from somewhere else. What if I put a video I ripped on Dropbox and access it across state lines? Now, according to this Supreme Court ruling, that too is subject to problems by the law. Now, they have claimed to say that they wrote something that specifically excluded Dropbox by name. Okay, fine. So I'm going to call it Kickbox. Now that's not, because it wasn't pulled out by name in the Supreme Court decision.
Box, just box.com.
Right. So this is just stupidity on parade here. Because Aereo went to great pains. You don't have to do all this sort of stuff. They could have stuck one antenna up in the air, streamed everything into their data banks, and gone like that. But no, they constructed this entire ridiculous scenario to comply with the law. Every step of the way, they complied with the law. And then the court looked at it and said, yeah, each of the pieces comply with the law, but on a whole, not so much. So how can every one step you do be legal, but the culmination of those steps be illegal?
That is a great question, Mark. I have no idea how they can make this ruling. You know, again, there's several ways Aereo could have done it that you could say, yes, that is illegal, because, you know, they're taking somebody else's signal and broadcasting it without paying. You know, Netflix, they pay licensing for shows they run that were originally syndicated, or ABC or whatever. Hulu Plus does basically the same thing, but Aereo did it different. They rented you space in a different city, and you had material there. Because if I went to Atlanta and I rented an apartment and I paid for cable there or whatever and paid for TiVo there, then I could access it here at my other house.
Yep.
And that should not. So what they're saying is doing that has to be illegal, because it's the exact same thing.
Now, and Aereo was even going so far, like when I watched watched Aereo here in Atlanta, it popped up and said, whoa, this IP address isn't in Dallas. You can't do that. And I had to lie and click a button that said, no, I really am in Dallas. I'm going through a VPN or some other anonymizer that says I'm not. So, I mean, they even block that on my mobile phone, for example, where it can triangulate cell towers and know exactly where I am and have GPS. It won't let me do it. It says, nope, you can't do it. You can do the Atlanta service, but you can't do the Dallas service. So they took every step of the way to make it legal. But now, according to the Supreme Court, and I misspoke, I said it was a 5-4 decision. It was 6-3. Now, according to the Supreme Court, I can't even stream Atlanta stuff, even though I can stick a piece of metal in the air and get every bit of it. None of this makes any sense. And Seth, as you've said so many times, common sense is so uncommon as to not even account anymore in the world of the law, but I just don't understand how these educated, intelligent people can be so wrong. So, since I don't believe they're wrong, I have to believe they're bought. That's the only other explanation. You can't be that smart and be that stupid. These are guys who are at the top of their game. They were the best lawyers in the business. They were the best judges in the business. They were appointed to the Supreme Court. They were confirmed by Congress. That's a difficult process. Ask Robert Bork how difficult that process is. Each one of these people got through that process, sat on the Supreme Court for life. They are appointed for the rest of their, as long as their heart is beating, they're on that court. These are not idiots. To rule on something so idiotically has to mean that they're bought and paid for. There's no other explanation.
You know, I love a good conspiracy theory, Mark. I love it. But I work at a law firm. And obviously, if you want to be a lawyer and, you go for all the schooling and then you pass the bar and then you are a partner at a law firm, you have to know your stuff. You have to be smart. You have to, but I've heard them talk about technology and about things like Facebook and Instagram and even stuff like email and YouTube. And I could not believe the stuff they were telling each other. It was ridiculous how uninformed they were of stuff that any junior high kid knows as fact was over the head of these people who are super intelligent, much smarter than I am. They've driven, they've sacrificed to reach the top of their profession. And yet when it comes to basic technology, they didn't have a clue. And so, the Supreme Court is even another level isolated from that. And the sad part is, I can believe that they don't have a clue on what they're doing, and they're just listening to the arguments from people who don't know what they're arguing about. And, you have these companies with unlimited almost money streams to hire the lawyers and do the market research and polish their stuff against these other companies with next to nothing to defend themselves, and they just get rolled over. They're just unprepared for the onslaught that's unleashed against them. And you can take somebody who has nothing to say, but he can be so good saying it that at the end you think he's selling you the gospel truth. And I would love to like I say, I don't think they're bought. I just think that when it comes to technology, they are the classical definition of ignorant. They simply don't know. And because they don't know, they're listening. It's like if I were going to sit on the jury panel in a malpractice brain surgery lawsuit, I don't have the first clue about brain surgery. So I would be listening, and whoever sounded the best would be who won. I would not be qualified to.
But it's not supposed to be whoever sounds the best. It's whoever complies with the law. And this, by every step of the way, complies with the law. That's the thing. This isn't a technology case. This is a legal. This is a rebroadcast. This is what are you doing? All right, and it's. Maybe they could get around it if I bought a piece of property and paid taxes on it. Maybe it was the renting that was the problem. But,
well, you didn't rent it. They rented it and sub-rented it to you.
Right. So how is this different than I drive to Dallas, rent a storage building that has electricity for $20 a month, stick a sling box in there that I can buy for $100 and call it good? That there's nothing no different than that. And in fact, I mean, why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I call one of my friends who still lives in Dallas and say, look, I'm going to wire you $100. Buy me a year's worth of rent on the smallest storage facility you can find. In fact, can I rent a corner of your house?
Yeah, just rent a room.
Yeah, I want to rent. I don't even want a room. I want 6 square inches of your house, and I'll pay you $100 a year for it. And I will send you a sling box. and all you got to do is plug it into your internet connection. And I'll even buy internet connection if you want to do that. You know, there's so many ways that I could do this that are the exact same thing. How is that not illegal? I don't understand. I don't understand. I keep ranting, but it all comes back to I don't understand.
And that's the problem. They don't understand either. They don't understand. All they understood was they're rebroadcasting our stuff. And are they rebroadcasting? Technically, yes. But they're doing it legally. You know, I mean, there's no difference between me doing that at my house and then I'm stuck in a motel room, so I'm walking into my, you know, I'm wiring into my internet and I'm watching it. There's no difference, and the other side did such a good job covering up, and they just the loudest and the longest. You're rebroadcasting our stuff. That's wrong. Stop doing it or pay us money. That's, like I say, I would love. I just think that they honestly don't understand what was going on, and so because they didn't understand, they listened to the lawyer that made the best sounding argument.
So, like, for example, I mentioned the World Cup, right? I am not a soccer fan, not at all, but because it's a big deal and because I have friends who are into it, I've been following the World Cup to the point of downloading the ESPN app on my smartphone, logging in using my Dish Network credentials, and watching ESPN. So what I did there was I proved that at some point I bought ESPN. Now, ESPN isn't bound by these rules because they don't go over the air. Different set of rules. But what's going to happen here is what I hope will happen is that somebody will see this market and they will open Bob's Cablevision, and all Bob's Cablevision will do is give you a password that you can use for all these other apps. Right? It's not actually going to be a cable service. It's going to be an authentication service. And that's great for things that are never broadcast over the air. But see, this is why it's so dumb. Once you stick something up in the air, you can't control where it goes. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They want to broadcast it. By definition, broadcast it, and then complain that it goes farther than they think it should go. You are broadcasting it. You are throwing it into the air, saying, whoever wants this radio signal, pick it up. Except you, Aereo. You're not allowed to pick it up.
Right. There's the law here is definitely way behind the technology. That's, I mean, they like I say, they don't understand. I have to believe that they don't understand what they did. They don't understand what happened, because
this is as dumb a legislation as prohibiting the consumption of alcohol. It's that dumb. Obviously, it's a very different thing, but the logic behind it is as dumb as calling a slave 3/5 of a person. You know, these things that I could cite in law that were dumb things that smart people did. This is right up there with it as being that dumb.
Yeah, and you know, and there's things in here. The Obama administration sided with the broadcasters, but urged the justices to rule narrowly and not call into question the innovative technologies that allow consumers to use the internet to store, hear, and view their own lawfully acquired copies of copyrighted works. Which I don't understand how this was unlawfully acquired, because there's no way. It does not make sense. I would love to be called into the Supreme Court and them explain to me, this is why we did this. And you know, maybe there is something that I don't know that would make this right, but I can't for the life of me figure out what it is.
Yeah. Let me read to you the email I got as an Aereo subscriber from Chet Kanoja, the CEO. It's short. This came out on the 25th, just literally a few minutes after the decision was released. It says, today's decision by the United States Supreme Court is a massive setback for the American consumer. Of course they're going to say that. They lost. We've said all along that we work diligently to create a technology that complies with the law. But today's decision clearly states that how a technology works does not matter. This sends a chilling message to the technology industry. It's troubling that the court states in its decision that, quote, to the extent commercial actors or other interested entities may be concerned with a relationship between the development and use of such technologies as the Copyright Act, they are, of course, free to seek action from Congress. Really? Really? You're the Supreme Court. Supreme is built right into the name there. But no, go ahead and go to Congress with it. And then he goes on to say, that begs the question, are we moving towards a permission-based system for technology innovation? Do I have to go to, this is me extemporizing now, do I have to go to Congress and get permission to invent something now? Going back to, quote, the Supreme Court thing, consumer access to free-to-air broadcast television is a central part of our country's fabric. This is I'm sorry, going on. Using an antenna to access free-to-air broadcast television is still meaningful for more than 60 million Americans across the United States. And when new technology enables consumers to use a smarter, easier-to-use antenna, consumers understand that consumers and the marketplace win. Free-to-air broadcast television should not be available only to those who can afford to pay for a cable or satellite bundle. Again, that's Chet Kanoja speaking. Now he quotes Justice Scalia. Justice Scalia's dissent gets it right. He calls out the attorney's opinion as, quote, built on the shakiest of foundations. Justice Scalia goes on to say that, the court vows that its ruling will not affect cloud storage providers and cable television systems, but it can not deliver on that promise given the imprecision of its results-driven rule. That's the dissent. And then Kanoja closes, we're disappointed with the outcome, but our work is not done. We continue to fight for our customers and fight to create innovative technologies that have a meaningful and positive impact on the world. Now, there's a lot of marketing speak in there. You got to use the word fight a lot, apparently. But, that's the answer right there. It's as Scalia points out, the judge said it doesn't matter how the technology works as long as you're doing something we don't like.
Yeah, I think there's just no way. I mean, I'm flabbergasted. I can't, how many times have you appealed to the umpire or whatever in a game, whatever, you expect them to get it right? I mean, this is a case where we need instant replay in the Supreme Court.
Amen.
We need instant replay. Say, I can't believe you did that. Rewind. Do you not see what this has done here? And go, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I meant to say is not illegal. Somehow the pen didn't catch on the word not. It was a blank spot on the paper. I'm sorry. It was reported in error. Something. I don't know. April Fool or June Fools. I don't know.
I wish I had something more cogent and salient to say, but really, for the last 40 minutes or so, I've just been ranting, and I understand that. And the rant is not just because I'm losing Aereo, or it looks like I'm going to lose Aereo. The rant is because there's no recourse now. It's done. I mean, we have to hope that other courts make it legal in other countries.
No, we would have to there would have to be a law passed,
right,
saying that this is within the framework of the law, and then because there was a law passed, there could then be a new trial works its way through the system, and they would realize, guys, you remember that last time? Maybe we need to take a nap before the next session starts or something, because I think we were wrong. Yeah. But that's the only course is for Congress to pass a law, and it would have to be.
What the Supreme Court
state could do it.
What the Supreme Court has said is, as the law now stands, this is illegal, and that's what the majority thing was about. There, feel free to go to Congress and have a new law written, but I think that's unprecedented. I can't. Again, I'm not a legal scholar, but I can't think of another time when the Supreme Court has said, if you don't like it, go have Congress write another law. I mean, that just blows my mind that they would say such a thing.
I think in the past there's been the law as it's worded isn't valid, try it again kind of thing. But we think this is wrong. Why don't you make a law to say it's right? That just, I mean, of course, which law do you think would pass? The one that has the lobbyists fueled by that consortium, or the lobbyists who are fighting for the side of Ariel? Which law do you think has the best chance to make it through the legal process and get a signature from a sitting president? And sadly, that's the case we live in. It would take outcry from millions of people to counteract the amount of money that lobby would throw at making the Supreme Court rule the actual law as well through the legislative branch as well. Sad day to be an American. But, if there is one thing I can take note of, this didn't happen in East Texas. So we're not the only ones with no common sense in the legal system. Or I should say no uncommon sense in the legal system.
Neither did the movie Transformers: Age of Extinction. It didn't take place in East Texas either.
Well, correct.
I feel so broken and wounded by this because, again, this is something I'm passionate about. And as I said, this is literally a single use case for me, watching the Cowboys play. Obviously, that is not a big deal in my life. What has me so upset is the utter wrongness of it. And, this is not the place where I talk about other Supreme Court decisions that I think were utterly wrong. We could have another show for that. This is a tech show. So this is the first time that I've ever had the pulpit to say that the Supreme Court is totally, utterly wrong. I mean, only 3 of these guys got it right. And it makes me sad, frankly, as an American, that our country is so backward, that the leadership of our country is so bad. We freaking invented the internet. But our government and our legal system has been trying to kill it ever since.
Yep. And I mean, with stuff like this, you have to think that they seem to be doing a pretty good job, unfortunately.
It makes me sad. That's all there is to it. So, Seth, I need you to make me happy. Maybe This Week in History will make me happy.
Okay, well, I hope so, Mark. That's the whole reason I did this. June the 29th, so 1975, actually 2 days of the recording of this show, Steve Wozniak tested his first prototype Apple I computer. This Week in History. Here's the thing. Apple has been around really since as long as there's been a personal computer, and so there's lots of history of computers that's the history of Apple because they've been around. There was a time where they almost faded into the darkness, but they came back stronger than ever, and Steve Wozniak tested his first prototype of Apple I June 29th, 1975.
So you think of the personal computer as coming of age in the 90s and being born in the 80s, but no, even farther back than that. I was 3 years old when he was doing this.
Yeah.
And Apple, he was Wozniak was, one of those demented genius kind of guys, and he soldered together some components that were commonly available and made a computer. And back then, that was the only way you were going to get a computer, was to solder together some components and make a computer.
Right.
And it was Jobs who was the genius that sold it. Woz would probably have just been making them out of wood and tin cans in his garage and been happy. Jobs came along and said, no, we can make this a thing. So we certainly owe Steve Jobs for bringing us a large part of where we are, but it all started with Woz.
Yep.
I say that like I know him. Woz, we're buddies. We go way back.
Yeah, we're both on the interwebs together.
All right, this week in history, and next week, as I said before, we're going to have something non-technology, well, non-Linux related. So fits right into this show. We're going to do a show. So this we need your listener feedback, but it's got to be quick. All right, so this show is going to come out on Wednesday, and we're going to record on Saturday. So you got Thursday and Friday and early Saturday to get this in. So be quick, people. We're going to do a show on urban legends. Specifically internet urban legends. Have you seen the Facebook post that feeding your dog ice water will make it explode? That's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the fact that Walt Disney doesn't have a son who's giving away stuff. So I want to hear from you. What are your favorite's not the right word. What are the internet hoaxes that make you most nuts? And we're going to talk about them and maybe try to do some research on them. And hopefully none of our audience falls victim to any of these things. But I, for example, fell victim to the fact that the myth that glass is a slow-moving liquid. It's not really an internet hoax necessarily, but it's a thing that's not true, that's widely circulated, and it sounds true, So that's what we're going to talk about for the holidays. So bring us your tired, your poor, your huddled hoaxes, yearning to breathe free. And now, Seth, what have you got for the dev/random this week?
Okay. As you all know, Sharknado 2 is coming to a small screen near you if you have the Sci-Fi Channel. Well, in honor of that, RiffTrax Live, Sharknado in a movie theater with basically the cast from Mystery Science Theater 3000 riffing on it the whole time.
Oh.
And I am going to a theater. I already know which one I'm going to. I think I've already purchased my ticket. I got to check my receipt, but if not, I'll buy it again if I lost it. I felt cheated because I did not have cable or satellite when Mystery Science Theater 3000 was there, and so I only heard about it, through secondhand. The web was more just online news groups at the time, and so I am so looking forward to this. It's Sharknado on the big screen, which I can't imagine how much more awesome that's going to be. But then they're going to be riffing on it for the whole show, and it's going to be 2 days, July the 10th. And then also the 15th. So the 10th is the day it's done live, and the 15th will be rebroadcast. The link will be in the show notes, but it's Fathom with an F events.com, and you can just search for Sharknado on that, or just Fathom Events Sharknado on the Google or search of your choice online. I'm so looking forward to this.
So it's going to be at the theater, the same theater I saw Transformers in this weekend on July 10th at 7 p.m. my time. So I think I may have to do that.
Yes, and of course it's on a delay in the Mountain and Pacific time zones.
I'm sorry, 8 p.m. my time.
Yeah, so 7 p.m. my time. But if you want to do what the Gooey Kid is doing when the Gooey Kid is doing it, and that might sound weird, but it's not. Go see Sharknado RiffTrax Live. It's one of those things. I am so looking forward to it that I don't think there's any way that it can live up to my expectations, but I think it's still going to be awesome.
Oh, that next day is my wife's birthday, so I may take her to that. No, that would be a terrible birthday present. Because she's not one of us. She would think that it's a bad movie with worse people making fun of it. It would ruin it even more for her. But,
yeah, and they probably will be the riffs will probably not be PG rated.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there will be some F-bombs and other. I mean, again, I've never heard them, so I don't know. But unless it's nothing but one cuss word after another, I don't see me leaving this theater. I might stay in the theater to the 15th and just watch it again and say you can't make me leave.
Yeah, you have to. I'm sure it's available somewhere, but try to find the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys doing Plan 9 from Outer Space. Worst movie ever. with most talented Ripper artists ever. It is so brilliant. You have to try to check that out as a sorbet to cleanse the palate for Sharknado. He's Googling it right now. I can tell.
MST 3000 PL gets you Plan 9. So Riff Tracks. I'm gonna have to take a look. Okay. No, I'm not paying $13 for it.
Oh,
I might just check out.
No, it's right there. It's on YouTube.
But that's only like 10 minutes of it.
No, it's on Hulu. Oh, it's Hulu.com has Plan 9 from Outer Space with Riff Tracks. I'll put the link in the chat room right now. And of course I can't hear it. I'm not watching live, but that's sure what it looks like to me. Maybe it's just the movie. I don't know.
Riff Tracks features Plan 9 from Outer Space. Well, from 2008, so it has to be.
So there you go. So that's new because it's not well. Maybe they redid it in 2008 because I saw it back in the day. But anyway.
Really?
So there you go. There's a double bonus for you. Plan 9 from Outer Space was a great bad movie. I mean, I can't believe that it hasn't made it to our bad movie list yet because it's so bad that it's good.
Right, but that's one of those, that's one of those everybody already knows.
Right.
So, that's kind of not what our forum's for. Our forum is kind of like, we're the archaeological thing. So,
I can't remember the director's name. Maybe you can remember, Seth. But what's interesting is Plan 9, and there's a number of these guys. He worked with Bela Lugosi a lot. There was a movie, Ed Wood. That was his name. There was a movie made about him, and Ed Wood was just this deranged dude who would shoot like 75 scenes in a day. Like in a modern movie set, you might get 2 good scenes in a day. He would do 70, 80, 90 scenes in a day, and just hey, you can see the wire on that plastic plate that you're calling a flying saucer. His response would be suspension of disbelief. Move on. And it creates some really awesome bad stuff. Okay, Seth, stop watching the show. We gotta finish.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm hoping that my download helper will allow me to get it for offline viewing.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, that's all we got. I don't have any. That was my bonus, my Riff Tracks Plan 9. So we miss Chris this week. We'll have him back hopefully next week. But again, live in studio with me next week will be the Gooey Kid. We've done that I think twice before. You've been live in studio.
I think so.
And so,
not often.
Yeah, so we look forward to doing it again, and we look forward, obviously, to hearing what you have to say. What word did I mispronounce this week, Paul? Let me know. And the internet out there, am I totally off base about the Aereo thing? Let me know. It's not the first time I've been totally off base. But again, we love to hear from you, and the way you can do that is go to elementop.com and click the contact us button at the top of the page. Or if you want to have your own voice on the air, just dial 559-IM-OPI anywhere in the continental North American land mass, and Google Voice will let you leave a voicemail, and we'll put it on the air. We love to hear from you. The forum, as I mentioned earlier, Seth has been working on there. Again, there's the Bad Movie Forum. There's all sorts of good stuff there. Let us know, because this show is more than a show. It's a community, and we encourage our community members to let us know you're out there. Let us know what's on your mind. As always, we thank you for being a listener. Seth, thanks for being a great co-host. And I'm going to say that ends.
Oh wait, Mark! Before you do it, I got a joke.
A
joke.
Okay.
Whenever I saw that Aereo had been ruled illegal, I thought it was talking about the Windows But I'm sorry.
Wah 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 wah. Okay, and that ends this episode of Everyday Linux.
Bye bye.
Oh. That was a good one. All right, live guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Rick, you typed in there, there's the answer. But obviously I was in mid-rant at that point. What specifically were you saying was the answer? Wait a minute and a half for him to hear that and respond. Stop the recording. Saved it. Stop him before he jokes again. So my upstairs air conditioning is out.
Uh-oh.
Upstairs happens to be where we sleep. Not this week.
Yeah. Administration getting in on ruling. It was a pretty nice joke.
Yeah. So you think Obama made that ruling happen, Rick?
Yeah, I don't know. There's no good. The best bad explanation is just they didn't know what they were talking about. That's the best bad explanation. The only good explanation is there's facts in the case that aren't evident.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to have that much faith in them, but yeah, I'm stunned. I really thought, oh, good, we're going to have all this settled. Area was going to be declared legal, and we can move on. We can put all this behind us. But no, now we got to fight this whole war again with somebody. This is the VCR thing all over again, and it's just. Where does anybody stand to lose? That's my problem. I guess they're thinking that people will not subscribe to cable, but these aren't cable people.
But you see, no, the thing is, it will stop them from like getting Hulu Plus, which they make money off of because Hulu Plus licenses that from them. So they are seeing it has lost revenue.
But again, that was my point. You're throwing it up into the air. that pretty well covers it right there. They use the advertisement argument all the time, which totally makes no sense. As if I'm buying an ad and 10 million people see it instead of 1 million people, I'm not going to be mad about that.
Right. But yeah, that's the main thing is that, you know, it's not that what they're doing is wrong. It's what they're doing is infringing on their ability to make a second and third revenue stream.
Except that Aereo was so strict about you had to be within the broadcast area. Sure, they could be mad at me because I bought it in Dallas and moved to Atlanta. But Aereo was all about making that not possible. So again, I can't see where they didn't comply with the law every step of the way.
I can't either, but then again, I'm not a Supreme Court Justice of the United States.
So, you know, now that I think about this, maybe we'll, you know what I could do? I wish I were still recording. I've already turned everything off. Maybe I'll grab this off of YouTube and I'll put this extra discussion up on Patreon.
Patreon, yeah.
Except it's already on YouTube. That wouldn't work. Darn! I got to come up because this is a good thing. This is what we need to do. We need to have these after hours discussions, record them and put them on Patreon for future reference. But because we always do roll a little extra.
Yeah.
Just have to turn off the feed and keep recording. Anyway, now that I think about it, it's not NBC, the content creator, that's mad about this. It's NBC, I have contracts with cable people, the cable provider. NBC owns Comcast, I believe it is. So that's what they're mad about. Now people won't subscribe to cable because they can get it online.
Right. And then, yeah, basically. So
I see why they brought the suit, but I can't see why. And again, I mean, you alluded to the fact that all politicians are bought and paid for, and I said it. I came out and said the word. I think these guys got fat checks from Time Warner and from Disney for making this ruling. I think that there's no other explanation for it, no reasonable explanation for it. Your explanation that they don't understand the technology is giving them a wide pass, but clearly they have to understand the really simple facts of the case. And yeah, maybe there were facts that we're not privy to that if I heard them, I'd go, oh, okay, now I get it. But it just really it seems so mafia-esque to me.
Yeah. And here's a question for you, Mark. And again, I'm not saying you did this. I'm just asking out of curiosity here. How is you coming right out and saying they were bought? How is that not like slander? Or is it just that nobody's going to hear it that could do that? I mean, is it because we're broadcasting and it's merely editorial content?
Well, it could be considered defamation. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess technically they could come after me, but typically that sort of thing is protected under the fair use, the right to have an opinion. But yeah,
right.
I did make a defamatory statement, and it's entirely possible that I'll get a letter in the mail over it. It could happen.
Yeah, and that's so. And again, I was just curious because I'm very wary of doing something like that, and not knowing what to say. That's why I try to couch stuff with, in my opinion, it seems, because then I'm merely giving an opinion and not stating a fact. But and again, a lot of times in the heat of the moment, I always say stupid stuff.
And what I said was that's the only explanation for it.
Right.
I didn't, whatever. Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh and those guys have been doing it for years. I would think if anybody was going to get in trouble over it, they would over me. But so be it. I stand by what I said. It's the only logical explanation that I see.
Right.
Somebody cut him a check. So anyway, all right. Thanks, guys, for hanging out for the after show. I think that's what we need to do. We need to have like a 5 to 10, 15-minute after show discussion. Maybe not every week, but just periodically. Throw that up there to only Patreon subscribers. Give them a little kickback there.
Yeah, I think maybe at least once a month.
Yeah,
we can do that. Cool.
All right, guys. Talk to you later. Live stream out.
And hey, I've got a